Okay. We're starting to run out of time. We may have enough. Anything else on sheet mulching, keeping weeds down? I think we did a pretty good job on that. Okay? We're going on to pruning. Pruning can be shearing, which I don't recommend. Coppicing. We're going to talk about how to prune cane growers, grasses, pinching, all those kinds of things. So, I already mentioned that our climate is a little bit different and that some plants go dormant in the summer and some plants go dormant in the winter. So if you're like me and you grew up in a place like Michigan, you think of pruning when plants are dormant in the dead of winter. That's not always the best case for us here, okay? So pruning stimulates growth. If a plant is dormant and you prune, well, it's dormant. It's not going to be stimulating the growth. But if it's starting to actively grow, then it is going to stimulate the growth, okay? So pruning stimulates growth, so you need to do it at the right time. If you could do it, so you don't want to prune right before a plant goes dormant. You could get frost issues on it. I've killed plants pruning and then a hard frost came through. It's just tough to offer a set rule. There are some plants that, they go dormant in the summertime and they're very susceptible to like pruning cuts. So in that case, like things like oak, ceanothus, manzanita. Ceanothus and manzanita, you're going to try to do as little cutting as possible, and they should be usually like a finger size is a good, so you really have to shape the plant when it's small, and then just do little cuts as it gets a little bit bigger. So I have lots of resources on a sheet that I'm going to pass around, and they do talk about some of the times to plant different plants. So I'll pass this around in a minute. And you will be getting this from Kevin and the City of Palo Alto. So, okay. All right. Spring bloomers are very easy. A lot of times a plant will tell you when it's when to prune it. So when it's just starting to get some new leaves, and again, like when I was showing you how to divide that iris, you were seeing some new growth. That's a really good time to divide it. It's also a good time to start doing some pruning because it's already starting to grow. You're going to be stimulating growth. You're going to be shaping the plant. It's a really good time. So spring bloomers, once they start to regrow, a lot of our pruning is done in the fall. With exception of the oaks, the ceanothus, the manzanita, most of our pruning is done in the fall, like late September. Because again, for most of our plants, that is the start of the growing season, okay? You can shear some natives. It's not a great idea, but there are some natives that can take that. So if you want to have a sheared hedge, you can do that with natives, but only a few can really take that. So here's a holly leaf cherry that's been sheared, and it looks really quite nice. Coppicing is when you cut something to the ground. Or almost to the ground. A lot of our plants, they're used to some fire. And so they can sprout even after a fire. Coyote bush is a plant that is adapted to fire. It's kind of one of the things that will come in first when there's a fire. So, and it tends to get kind of woody over time, so you can really cut it almost to the ground. But there's other things that you really don't want to cut to the ground. So coppicing means you're really doing a dramatic cut on it. Caution, you could lose a plant by doing this. So you have to be really cautious, and sometimes they just look so bad that you just really need to do something, and so it's kind of a last-ditch effort, okay? Coyote bush, it's pretty easy. So there's a whole list of natives to coppice. This again came from the Yerba Buena. They have a lovely little pruning section on their website, Yerba Buena Nursery. And I have that listed on this sheet as one of the resources, okay? There are some plants that really, they grow from the base. They're kind of cane growers. Those are really better if you just, if you need to prune them, you just need to take out the whole root, or the whole, sorry, the whole branch. So this is a Carpentaria californica, and you can see, oops, sorry. You can see here, I just cut out a whole branch. They have a tendency to get a little bit woody over time, and then you just take out those kind of woody stems. Here's a mock orange or a Philadelphus. Again, this is kind of a cane grower. You see it just kind of grows really tall and straight. These are really good in side yards. I use these a lot in side yards. Here's a golden currant, again, a cane grower, tall and straight. And this is a western hazelnut. And this is one where I cut a branch back, and you see how bad that looks? It kind of gets this, I don't know, like a fist. So that's one where it's just better to take the whole cane out. Okay, grasses. These are very easy. This is leafy reedgrass, one of my favorites. Deer grass. These are pretty easy. You can really cut them almost to the ground. Most of our grasses are cool season, so doing in the fall is a really great time. Deer grass is warm season, so I tend to do that early in the spring. Kind of cut it down, kind of pull out some of the dead. Sometimes you don't even have to cut it down. Sometimes you can just get in there with some gloves and just pull out the thatch, and it kind of rejuvenates it. Okay? And then pinching is just to make things branch a little bit better. So you might just, you know, literally, oh, this one's being stubborn, just take a little piece off. And that helps it to kind of stay a little bit lower, a little bit bushier growth. And that's really good for, this is a mimulus, a sticky monkey flower. That's really good to kind of give them a little bit better shape.